Welcome to Come to Your Senses, the School of Sensual Living podcast. I'm your host, embodiment-based coach, Mary Lofgren. Here, we explore how to live bravely and beautifully through topics like pleasure, beauty, embodiment, femininity, art, somatic healing, mindfulness, and of course, everyday sensuality. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. As always, I start every episode by saying I'm so excited to be here today, but it's true. I am always excited to have the privilege to dance between your eardrums as I share with you some gems from my own personal practice of embodiment and everyday sensuality. And today is no different, because today we are exploring the uniquely feminine embodied art of everyday ritual. So ritual is our body's language of origin when it comes to prayer and connecting with the sacred. Ritual might seem pretty complex and like you have to don a velvet robe and have Eye of Newt in an apothecary jar in your kitchen in order to access it. At least that's how I used to feel about it. But I wonder if when you were a kid, you ever caught fireflies. I wonder if you've ever gotten lost in the wonder of a river. I wonder if you ever jumped in the waves and then built sand castles and created imaginary characters that would live there. Or have you ever put a penny in the bottom of your shoe for good luck? These are all ways in which our soul merges with our physical body to say yes to the experience of being alive and partnering with the elements to create magic. Ritual affirms our belonging on this planet, and it helps to dissolve the illusion of separateness. It puts those religious rites of closeness with our Creator quite literally back in our own hands. And so today, what I want to share with you are some ways to take things that you are already doing and offer you some ways to add in deeper meaning and more opportunity for alchemy and an experience of sacredness that is fully embodied in your system through the art of everyday ritual. But before we dive into today's episode, I'd love to take a moment to just celebrate our community by sharing with you a recent podcast review. So this one comes from Deanna D, and Deanna says, Mary's insights on enjoying life and being in your body are thought-provoking as well as accessible. This podcast feels like talking with a good friend. Mary has a warm and comforting tone, and she shares her fascinating journey to living a sensual life as she guides the listener to ways of accessing this in their own lives. Thank you so much, Deanna D, for your warm and kind words, and I am so glad that the feeling that you get is like sitting with a good friend, because as I sit here in my closet, which is where I currently record, is sitting on the floor of my closet for good acoustics, I imagine all of you in here with me and what I might like to share from my heart to yours. So I am thrilled to hear that that is transmitting. And if you are a listener and you enjoy the podcast, you really cannot know how deeply grateful I am for your reviews and how much they impact my ability to reach more listeners. So if you feel inspired to leave a review and you'd like to hear your name shared on the podcast, please head to schoolofsensualliving.com/review, and that will take you to a link where you can leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. The art of everyday ritual. So something that I love about ritual is that There's, of course, a pleasurable, meaningful, prayerful element to it. But what I find is the deeper experience of it is that ritual is where we get to tangibly practice the art of creation. It's where our nervous system gets to orient to what it's like to create something using the elements and using our own hands, so that our minds and hearts feel more attuned to how to create it in our life. Ritual makes magic more real, and not just the magic of creating what we individually want, but the magic of co-creating with the earth and the same intelligence that created the miracle of something like a seahorse. For so many of my clients, the reason that they come to me for coaching is one of two reasons. One, because there's something that they want to create or experience in their life that they haven't been able to create on their own. Or two, because they actually have a lot of what they want, but life moves so fast that they can't actually be present to it. And even when they look at their children or their spouse or their job or these things that they used to pray for, they look at the abundance in their life and they feel numb inside. And something to know about ritual is that sacredness creates a sense of timelessness. There's this idea around time. I first learned about these two definitions of time in Kate Northrup's book, Do Less. And she talks about the difference between Kairos time and Chronos time. So Chronos time is how most of us interact with time in present day. It is chronological. It refers to the clock time frame, that time is measured in seconds or minutes or hours or months. Whereas Kairos time is not about measuring these fragments of time like seconds or minutes, but it's about measuring the depth of the moment. It's that moment where we sometimes lose track of time because we are so present in our body. It's the way that you can be so confused and torn up inside about something like a decision. And after a really nourishing talk with a girlfriend or a really deep experience of relaxation and calm, suddenly you get clarity. And in our modern world, when so many things in our lives can be chosen, from what we want to watch on TV at night to who we want to date to, everything is in this virtual container where the currency is our own agency. It's our own choice, which creates a certain degree of freedom, but also keeps us really locked in this Chronos time because it requires so much decision making on our part. And every decision takes time. I think it's one of the reasons we all experience this paradox of having more convenience and more time at our disposal from a Chronos perspective, and yet we feel more rushed and more fast than ever because we're missing that essential element of the embodiment of Kairos time. And so ritual, because of the way that it engages our senses and our connection with the elements, grounds us into a visceral, tangible experience of that Kairos time, which in turn gives us greater access to a different form of intelligence than the part of our brain that measures and keeps track of that Chronos time. And so you are already doing lots and lots of rituals. If you put on makeup in the morning or moisturizer, you are doing ritual. If you make coffee in the morning, you are doing ritual. If you journal before bed, if you sit down at a table to eat, if you get into bed at night, if you walk the same route every day to the bus or the train, all of these get regarded from a Chronos perspective as being routines. But from a Kairos perspective, these are all opportunities for ritual. The difference between a routine and a ritual is that a ritual contains intention. It engages the subconscious, the liminal mind, and the body. So I want to give you an example, and this is going to be an example of moving your hips. So I hope you're in a place where you have the freedom to move your hips. Even if you're in the car, you can give them a little wiggle. And if you're standing, I'd love to invite you to take a wider stance. And we're going to start by just circling the hips around. Just circling our hips over here. And even if you're sitting down, you can just stir and circle the hips. And just noticing, here I am, circling my hips. And then take a pause. And now I want you to imagine something that you desire. And take that desire, could be anything, could be super simple, could be super grand and significant. And I want you to place that desire. If you're standing, it'll be between your feet. If you're seated, it'll be under or around your seat. And I want you to imagine that you are standing or sitting in a cauldron. And that inside this cauldron is a magical brew of your desire. And now I want you to join me as we circle the hips a few more times and imagine that that potent mystical broth of your desire is getting stirred and churned and mulched, and the steam and the aroma is wrapping itself around you and informing your senses. Keep circling just a few more times. And then pause and notice what you feel. So that's a really simple example of how you can take something from a chronos perspective, like circling the hips, and measure it from the outside in, but from that kairos perspective, that ritual perspective, measuring the feeling from the inside out. And whether you know it or not, whether you feel it or not, you just brought yourself one step closer to your desire just by being willing to do that action. Because now you not only have your mind or your heart on board with your desire, but you've got the creative superpower of your pelvis on board with that desire. Another great example of ways that you are doing ritual every day and how to add more dimension to that ritual is when you take a cup of tea and you pour honey into that tea. Next time you pour it on the spoonful, I encourage you to blow your wish for the day into the honey. And then as you stir it into your tea, imagine that that sweetness holds what it is that you desire. And all of a sudden, your cup of tea is not just a cup of tea, but it's a cup that holds the energy that you so wish to embody. And so when we perform ritual, there are 3 questions to ask yourself. The first is, what is my intention? Why am I doing this ritual? What do I want? What does it feel like? Why do I want it? Really going into some inquiry around what is the purpose of this ritual. The second is, how does what I'm doing mirror what I want? So for example, if I desire to feel more relaxed, maybe I'll blow that wish or that desire or that energy of relaxation into the honey. And all of a sudden, what I'm doing, this everyday activity, mirrors the experience of drinking in relaxation. And then how can I use my senses to create alchemy around my desire? Alchemy is just another word for transformation. And so the first everyday activity that I'd love to invite you to transform into a ritual is taking a shower. And taking a shower is a great opportunity to do a ritual around letting go. So let's say your ritual is based in a desire to feel more beautiful, to feel more of that essence of beauty as this warm, attractive, luminous, liminal form working its way through your body and life. As you shower, you can begin by watching the water wash away anything that keeps you from your truest embodiment of beauty. As you shampoo, you can massage your scalp while visualizing your crown chakra starting to come alive. After you towel yourself off and put some lotion in your hands, you can blow into the lotion and repeat an incantation like, "My beauty shines, I am divine. This body is a living shrine." I wrote that just for you. And then you apply the lotion, and every time you inhale the fragrance all day, you're reminded of that incantation, and everyone who encounters you is energetically drawn in to that incantation. Another simple way that you can transform your morning into a ritual is, let's say you have a desire to move through your day with an open heart. The first thing I would recommend is that you visualize everything that you have to do that day and visualize yourself moving through it with an open heart. What would that feel like? What would that look like? How might I continue to open my heart in the stuck places where it wants to shut down? And holding that visualization, taking an essential oil. I really like to use peppermint oil, but you have to be very cautious. You're actually not really supposed to put peppermint oil directly on your skin, but I do sometimes. And I take that peppermint oil and I take one drop of it. I inhale it into my senses, all the way into my bloodstream. And then I take a drop and I place it between my breasts. And then I wear a necklace that bounces off of my heart, so that as I'm moving through the day, I have these sensory prompts and I've sensorially sealed in my intention. A nice bonus is to light a pink or a green candle and place it on your altar or your desk or in your kitchen as a reminder to keep breathing into your heart throughout the day. And another bonus, if you want to take this even further, is on the Sensual Living meditation album, there is a meditation for wrapping your heart in luxury. And so if you'd like to check out that album, you can go to schoolofsensualliving.com/meditations. Another way you can wear your intention throughout the day is to actually physically, tangibly wear it on your person. So I used to take burlesque classes from one of my favorite performers, Veronica Varlow, who is an amazing practitioner of magic. And she taught us a ritual for actually sewing our intentions and our desires into our burlesque costumes, so that when we hit the stage, what the audience was seeing and experiencing wasn't just all the work that we had put into our act, but they were energetically interacting with this powerful spell we had cast over the costume. And something I do that is kind of an extension of that ritual is sometimes I'll write my intention on a piece of paper, my intention for the day or the energy that I want to embody, and I'll roll that up like a scroll. And for extra credit, I'll take candle wax and I'll seal it with a little bit of wax, and I'll place it in my bra right between my breasts so that my heart is beating against it all day. And then the final suggestion I would have for a ritual is to take the way that you listen to music and to turn it into a meditation. So I have a playlist called Love Letters that are all songs, love songs. Sometimes they're love songs, sometimes they're not. But one day I was meditating and I really just wasn't really feeling in the mood for silent meditation. I needed something for my consciousness to hold on to. And I heard this voice that said, "Play Make You Feel My Love" by Adele and meditate to that. I don't know where it came from, but I did it. And it was so powerful, and I had tears streaming as I did it because it felt like God, the universe, goddess, whatever word you might want to use, I use the word God, was singing right to me, those lyrics right to me. And so I created a playlist of songs. And sometimes I'll go into seated meditation and I'll hit shuffle on that playlist. And it's like my higher power is singing a love song right to me and touching right into the deepest parts of my heart through Billy Joel, Just the Way You Are. And so once again, these are just some ways that you can take actions and activities that you're already doing and layer in that alchemy of sacredness and ritual. And I would love to hear how this podcast episode informs your own practice of ritual and taking that sacred experience of connection to the divine back into your own hands. And before we close this episode, it is time for Swoon. Swoon is a feature that we do here on the podcast where I share with you a product or a teacher or some item that assists me in my own practice of sensual living. And today's item is a skincare product. So I've been an esthetician for over 20 years. I've used literally hundreds of skincare products, and there is one skincare line and one product in particular that is my hero product. And that skincare line is called Dermalogica. And the product is a mask that is soaked in vitamins and fruit extracts and healthy emollients for the skin. I have burnt myself really intensely on a Thanksgiving dinner pan and put this mask on repeatedly throughout the day. And by the end of the day, there was not even a red mark. It was so healing. And this is also the mask that when I do it, when I wear it, people say to me, God, your skin just looks amazing. What are you doing? And so Dermalogica is a line that I've been using for a long time because I used to work for that company. I was a corporate trainer for that company, and I love their products and I love their commitment to education. And so this product, this mask, if you go to schoolofsensualliving.com/mask, M-A-S-K, you'll find it. It's called Multivitamin Power Recovery Mask. It has vitamins A, C, and E. It has grape seed extract in it. It has green tea. It has lots of powerful antioxidants. But the effect that you'll notice on your skin, it's really ideal for not necessarily super dry skin. You know, you can use it with super dry skin. Absolutely. But when I say that, what I mean is like, you don't have to have super dry skin in order to use it. Almost any skin can use it other than oily and acneic. I would recommend more of a clay-based mask or an antibacterial mask if that's what's going on in your skin predominantly. But if your skin is seeking more shine, less dullness, more condition, and just more of that glow, run, don't walk to get yourself some Multivitamin Power Recovery Mask by Dermalogica. And you can find it at schoolofsensualliving.com/mask. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love to hear from you in a review. It is always such a joy to connect with you here. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time. For more coaching, classes, and community in the art of sensual living, head to schoolofsensualliving.com. There you'll find a free course on how to reduce anxiety and increase your natural confidence through powerful embodied body language. Head to schoolofsensualliving.com/confidence to get instant access to the course today.